This week on the podcast, we discuss whether handhelds and hybrids could really be the future battleground for console makers and how older gamers may be driving the change. We also crown the best DS game on this week's Pixel Picks Showdown. All this and more on the Pixel Parents podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents podcast, the show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host, Liam Cook-Kelvin, and today I'm of course joined by the bearded one, Scott, the tastemaker. Curry, how are we, Scott?
Very well. Your throat was going halfway through that there. You were
I
like,
can feel it.
I'm Liam Cook-Kelvin and I'm...
It's just, spending all those nights singing in blues bars. That's all it is.
The walrus of love across from me. I'm all right, man. I'm slowly recovering from what they call the flu. And it's been great. It's been... I had to go to a family party and a Christmas night out with this absolute lurgy. And I'll tell you something, alcohol certainly helps.
I bet it does.
But if we recorded this yesterday or the day before, I would have been made up of about 95% Sudafed.
Oh.
Which could have made for, a more entertaining podcast that way. But I might come across more timbrous than normal. Is that a word?
Yes.
It's never a word. But
I think it's a perfectly cromulent word.
It's a greatly cromulent word. But I'm actually all right. I'm looking forward to the discussion and also the future.
Yes,
I'm ready for it to embrace the future and how this looks. But for now, how are you?
I'm good. It's tis the season,
Fa la 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 la.
Yeah.
La 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 la.
I am just trying to get myself to the end of the work season in one piece and looking very much forward to next week when everything kind of draws to a close and I've got 2 weeks of gaming and food indulgence, Scott. Oh, I can't wait.
That's what we live for. It really is.
It really is. But as you know, I've been a good boy this year.
A very good boy.
So I've been sitting watching my meeting all year and it's worked. But this 2 weeks, I'm going large.
Put it all back on.
Put it all back on in 2 weeks.
Do it, man. Just live for it. You've done it all year, so
can I do it? That's a challenge.
2 weeks can fucking ruin it. It's great.
Play that episode of The Simpsons where Homer's trying to rapidly gain weight, rubbing fillet fishes in the wall.
Oh man, do it. You need to do it. It's been great. It's been great to see the change. And it's not, there's obviously a physical change, but it's the mental change that I've noticed more than anything else.
Yes.
I similarly had been going through a body transformation of my own and then had August. It was just like, fuck this. I'm going to eat every single chocolate bar that exists.
As you should.
And I'd love to say that stopped, but it just hasn't. I've just been like, do you know what? It's going to be Christmas soon, so I might as well just be fat.
Aye.
And then fuck it, New Year. But for you, you can see the difference in how you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this aura and the glow. I think you might be pregnant. No, there's
up here.
That is, it's good though. It is because it was always something that we would joke about, and it's now not there, so it's cool.
Yeah,
good on you.
It's
a fucking nightmare, but you've stuck to your fucking guns, so it's good.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I'm very much looking forward to just Toblerones and boxes of chocolates and beers
and sensations, man.
Oh my god,
that bag of sensations is going to hit like crack.
Do you know last year my wife got me a packet of sensations for Christmas? We went out on Christmas Eve. And our Cocker Spaniel
I remember that.
Destroyed the
He's
thing.
the best. It's and you would have heard his edition last week because it was fucking hilarious. It was
Thanks
so
for
good.
That. Thanks for that.
I bought a big bottle of Iron Brew and a packet of Sensations for coming home on Saturday night last week.
Oh, what a prep.
You'd think.
Right.
But we drove my wife's car and I'd put them in my wife's car. We drove them to her mum and dad's house.
Oh no.
And when I left them, they never drove it back. So I didn't have the crisps and juice when I went home or the next day.
I can actually feel the pain of that.
Oh man, just the worst decision that's ever been made. But, you know, we continue on and life goes on, you know. That's
it. And of course, games keep coming with us, so we've got lots to talk about.
Yeah, well, you know, we do have a big, you know, rousing thing to talk about.
Yeah, big old mess of things.
A big old mess of things. A glutton of goosh, no?
That's it. We're the masters of teeing things up. But I suppose before we get into that, we should get some housekeeping out the road. So, of course, for those listening, this is the Pixel Parents Podcast, a weekly podcast by parents who game for those who do the same, where each week we discuss all things gaming while raising little ones. If you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixelparents.bsky.social on Blue Sky, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, just leave a wee 5-star review, share the podcast online with your friends, tell people about it.
If you listen to us on Spotify, comment on it. I want to see comments because I want people to send me verbal abuse online. So,
well, you heard it here. Just verbally abuse Scott on Spotify via the comment section. And of course, thank you to everybody that does join us each and every week. It's been a real pleasure watching the community and the listeners grow. We're not in this for fame nor glory. We're in this probably for community. So
I work hard for the money.
Work hard for the money.
So hard for the money.
That's right.
But it's seeing people follow the podcast and see the numbers rise. Yeah. It's like two stupid people from, you know, South Lanarkshire, the Glasgow area. It's just nice to see that people listen to us talk shite for an hour. And sometimes an hour and 45 minutes when things go too far.
Do you not like to think, no, those long ones, that they're doing the same things as us? So I like a long podcast. I'm sitting like cleaning the house.
Aye.
Or just doing mundane tasks that you kind of find yourself doing as an adult, you know, folding clothes and all that.
It used to be ironing, but we stopped ironing clothes now. We only iron clothes when we use them.
Yeah, or if you've got like a shindig on.
I mean, I don't, but like, I try not to iron anything if I possibly can. Which is why I exist in jumpers, and I just say it'll iron itself, like the body heat will iron it. You know what I mean?
Or you can nullify it by just walking in if it is creasing, going, I fell it with the iron. That's it.
I dropped it.
I used to say at the time when I had long hair, and whenever I got a haircut, and it's like, it's shrunk in the wash. And that was it. But anyhow, with all that out of the way, Scott, what have you been playing this week?
It's been a smorgasbord. Is that the correct word for it? Of a week. So I'll begin with, you know, what everyone's waiting for, and the update from the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition Platinums. Vice City is done. It is over with.
Good Lord.
In
a week.
It's not a long game. It really isn't. See, when you really tap down into it, it's really not.
Yeah.
Where you spend most of your time is attempting the same insane jumps 100 times in a row. And also trying not to blow up the motorbike on the G Spotlight mission. Horrendous.
Yes.
Like, don't know why that's so difficult. And that's where I listened to my review, or the review of Indiana Jones. But yeah, finished that. Took a few days off. So, do you know what? I've played a lot of Grand Theft Auto in the last few days. And that's exactly when Indiana Jones came out. But I'll come back to that in a minute. So after my time with Indiana Jones, started San Andreas, and started the routine that I have with every San Andreas playthrough, where I make CJ so fat, like I just make him the fattest man alive, and it's great.
Bigger smoke.
I love it. It's so good. And now he's just hench, hench AF. It was bulking season, but the good thing with this one is that you can do all the sort of stupid missions to begin with. So I've done all the driving missions, paramedic missions, firefighter missions, the usual stuff. I've done all the tags, spray paint tags. They're really easy to find. Just go to Power Picks and it gives you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
And you get different rewards for doing those as well. So like different weapons and stuff in the house. And you also get more health and stuff like that. But the good thing with this one is that you can do everything at the end. So it's like after you've finished the game, you can go and do everything else. So it's kind of like I don't have to do everything first and then play through the game because nothing's missable. apart from the mission-based ones again.
Yeah.
Like with the one, the OG Loke mission where you go to the recording studio.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to kind of do it through all stealthily and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the trophies for it, which is something you would probably try and do anyway. So
of course, yeah.
It's just part of it. But I'm just kind of looking forward to actually just playing the game, like, and not have to worry about all the different collectibles and stuff like that to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I am with San Andreas. Still think the radio stations are guff.
Oh, but the thing is, so the definitive editions, this is the only criticism I have across all of them, all three, is that they did lose the rights to some bangers, like absolute bangers. And it's probably most felt on Vice City, but it is felt on San Andreas as well.
I mean,
there's some bangers that's missing.
Vice City, even now, like I said this to you the other day, is that you could change the radio station in Vice City and the next station is they're playing something that you want to listen to. With San Andreas, it's just that sometimes just like, oh, for fuck's sake, going to just hurry up and give us something good. So I honestly do spend up most of my time listening to K-Dust or K-Rose. K-Rose, I'll defy anyone who will tell me that is not the best radio station in that whole game. Like, it's phenomenal. What is it? Bed of Roses.
Yep.
I love it. Oh, man. So, yeah, finished up with that, and obviously then started playing Indiana Jones and the Great Ball. I couldn't think of another word for
Good
circle.
thought.
Couldn't think of another word for it. And I, unsurprisingly, haven't jibed with it at all.
Yeah, not a big surprise.
Got through the sort of initial opening part of it, found that the opening salvo, before the actual title screen, it's like the title screen is just like random text on the screen. It just says like Indiana Jones in a Great Circle. Now, I'm not the big Indiana Jones buff here, but I'd have thought that there would have been more to that. Like,
nah, it does really follow the style of the films.
Aye, so
really
that if that's the case, then I apologise, Xbox. Don't shoot me. But I just think it's really, really sort of middling and boring in terms of the way that you have to play it. Like, it pushes you down this path of using stealth, which is great. Big stealth buff here, but having to scud people with spades, candles, everything around, it's funny the first 10 times that you do it.
Yeah.
After that, it just becomes like, right, come on to fuck. Like, there's so many enemies and so many opportunities just to hit people in the head. It's like, right, okay, when does this start getting more interesting? But for all its flaws, I mean, it's a gorgeous looking game. And I think that what they're trying to do, or what they've tried to do in terms of, and agree with me, disagree with me, but I don't care, but the way that you traverse the world in terms of, you have this map and it changes sort of based on what you're doing at that point.
Yep.
And like, there's wee secrets and stuff like that there. You can go and find artifacts and things. Like, I think it's really interesting, but not for me. Like, I honestly, the minute I turned it off, I was like, thank fuck I'm not playing that for any longer, because sitting here thinking about, what are they saying, average playtime on this, 12, 13 hours or something like that?
The most I've heard is about 17, the least I've heard is about 12, yeah.
It is, honestly, like, this is coming from a man that turned this game off to play San Andreas. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but do you know what? I think you've really got to, I take my hat off to you, because you put yourself out there, and it wasn't a game that was, you knew straight away when you saw it, that's like, this isn't a game for me, like for Scott. And I think fair play for actually giving it a go.
I thought I can't, my journalistic integrity,
That's it.
Speak about that a lot. I couldn't sit here and be like, I think it's pish, but I don't think it's pish. I think that would be too harsh on it. I just don't think it's interesting at all. And I've heard a lot of, like, one of the comments that I heard recently was, if this wasn't an Indiana Jones game, it would be getting fucking panned. It's like, it's getting a lot of love for being an Indiana Jones game, which is fine, but
I do have
why can't that extend to other properties then? So, like, take Star Wars Outlaws, for example. Like, some of the problems talking about, like, the way the bikes move, the way the guns shoot, blah, 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 blah. Why are we all of a sudden being like, oh, well, it's fine for Indiana Jones, but with Star Wars, like, it has to be more refined and a better game in that way? Like,
But there's a part of me where looking at the other side of it, stripping like IP can be important to a game's overall identity.
100%.
But it's that old if your auntie had boss should be your uncle
Mm-hmm.
argument. Like
yeah.
it's I get what you mean. Like, and you know what? I think it just comes down to like you've put yourself out the comfort zone. It's not always going to work.
Nah.
In fact, you'll probably get more confirmations of this isn't for me than anything else.
Aye, and I'm glad that I tried it. I still think first person is a fucking mistake. Like machine games that's their bread and butter, and that's fine. But the way that you punch things, it's funny. Like it's daft, and that's what it's supposed to be. But it's like it's such a missed opportunity. It's really jarring going from third person to first person in certain things. Like I'm climbing up a wall using my whip. Let's go to third person and watch him climb. Like this could have all been done in third person, and I maybe would have enjoyed it more. But that's not what machine games are. So it's like abusing FIFA for changing, the goal size in FIFA. It's like, it's like, I mean, it's stupid. Like, but
I think I'll jump in here.
But I'll let you. That's all I've played this week.
Is that all you've been playing? Right?
I played a lot of Balatro, but that's another time.
We'll come back to that. But I've also jumped into Indiana Jones. So that's a good jump in point. So to balance things out, I'm still, I'd say fairly early on. Probably about 4-5 hours into the game, and I've actually been really enjoying it. I went in quite tentatively because I had some issues. I thought, for instance, at the reveal, the graphics looked a little bit off to me, almost cartoonish. But then, in the context of playing the game and the environments, I was immediately just like, "Wow, I did not expect this."
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came to mind was, it's about time there was something like this to play on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Baker's performance. I can still hear Troy Baker in there.
I can only hear Troy Baker,
but I still think it's a pretty decent Indiana Jones impression. And you're right, this is the thing that surprised me most about it is that it's a fucking Indiana Jones game.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where they want you to not focus so much. When you think about Indiana Jones and you've not seen the film in a while, or the films, you focus so much on the action when actually it's all about the pulpy discovery section of it. Pure, oh my God, that's the glass of such and such, that's linked to this, some Latin, blah, 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 we move to another part of the world. So it's delivering that much more slower, methodical side of it. And I can't help it. The more I'm playing it, the more I'm like, man, I'm really into this. Like, you can almost draw a Venn diagram of, I think we were all surprised by the reviews that came out for it. Because I think we were all like, man, this feels like it's going to be like a 7 out of 10 type thing. And more often than not, we're seeing like these 5 out of 5s and stuff. But you could draw a Venn diagram of the ones that have been glowing with praise, particularly people on this side of the pond, who are Dishonored, Immersive Sim fans,
Yeah.
And also the similarities with Chronicles of Riddick as well, which is Butcher Bay, of course. When you look at that, and not a game that I had played, but I remember looking at footage of it in a review, and I'm like, oh, right, I can see that there. So that, again, you can start to see where a lot of the praise is coming from. But I'm looking at this in isolation. I've really just been enjoying it, man. Like, the slow, considerate pace, though, I think I can totally see when I'm playing it, it's like, this is going to be Marmite. Like, there's no middle ground here. And you're right, that kind of slow pace can grate if you're not kind of fully into it, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like that, but I've been just loving the attention to details and the environments and how it does just feel like you're in an Indiana Jones movie. Don't get me wrong, the opening I think could have been sped up a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of it's trying to get you into a pace as opposed to its mechanics. So it's an odd game. It's not what I've been expecting. But early on with the time I've spent with it, I'm actually glad Machine Games rolled the dice, because I'm like, do you know what? They could have phoned this in and they could have made another Uncharted, which is kind of what we're all expecting. Third person, just, all the platforming, all the running and gunning, you name it. Same pulpy type nature. But it wouldn't have actually fit Indiana Jones in the same way. But
I do agree with that, so to speak. But I do also think there's a place for like the excusal for this being pure, like slow as all hell. It's like I honestly I can't like even the thought of going back to play it. It's like, and this is me who does not like these games, like cannot do it. It's just like, this is just so boring. Like even the opening section of it, when you're walking through that area and stuff like that, and like when you see the beginning of the movie part, I'm like, right, this is cool, and like there's more to it at that point. But I got to the Vatican and I was like, here's this big open space for you to go and explore. It's like, no, actually, the way I have to move around this area, I have to watch for people in the disguise. People might spot me. I'm like, no, go to keep fucking pace. Like, and I get your point. There's going to be people out there who fucking love this and lap it up, and there obviously is. But from my own personal perspective, like, I just think that move it along a bit. Like, I
totally get it.
I got to this open area. I was taking pictures of something. Like, I was taking pictures of these things in the Vatican.
Oh, I did the inscriptions.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, I saw I had to go up. It's like, fucking hell, like, God, it just gives peace.
I mean,
and that's great. That's great for people who, oh, wow, look at the verticality and look at all this stuff. But like, then I'm thinking, this is going to open up into another area even bigger than this, and it's going to be like, go and explore that. No, I'm out. I'm tapped out.
I think the vision for this game and playing it has been clear. Whereas they don't want you to play the Indiana Jones action figure; they want you to be Indiana Jones. And I've got 2 words that will blow your mind here.
Oh, okay.
It's everything you're saying, and it's keeping my mind. It's like the slow pace, and that might put people off. And it's not for everybody. It's methodical. Death Stranding.
100%.
It's it's the exact same thing here. It was also an odd game. You either loved it, you was named Battleground, you either loved it, you're like, I'm not sure. And for very different reasons. But both games, I think, have a very clear and odd vision of what they're trying to do. But the thing that I'm quite excited about is that Machine Games here have taken a risk and not given us what we expected.
Yeah.
And it's immediately made me think of IO Interactive and Project 007, because we're thinking, that's just going to be a Hitman with a James Bond skin. What are they going to do that makes this different? Is it going to be first person GoldenEye?
I mean,
is it going to be?
We've already seen what that is.
Yes, of course. I can't believe that we saw that at the Game Awards.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is good too. Jeff Keighley and took his trousers off on stage.
Harrison Ford punched Troy Baker and said, "That's my role, bitch." And that was it.
Aye, it's you're the comparison with Death Stranding is very apt, and it is 100%. It's chalk and cheese.
But that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
I know,
okay.
100%, and I'm glad. I don't want to be the doom monger of Xbox that I was at that point, because they were in a bad place beginning of this year.
Yeah,
midway through this year, they were having a really hard time of it, and this is the kind of shot in the arm that they need.
Badly.
There's part of me that's like, maybe Machine Games and Xbox knew, I don't know how to word this in a way that makes sense, but knew that it might have been divisive in the way that the gameplay works, because we didn't see much of it.
Nothing.
Like, we saw nothing of it.
Well.
And in isolation, that would have been very harmful if they'd come out and shown, like, this is what you're going to be doing in this game. But dropping people in and saying, just go and live it, like, that's fine. And just, I'll never finish this game again. I probably won't turn it back on. But I'm glad to see, and this is the non-doom mongerer part of me coming out. So, Phil, you know where I am, mate. I'm glad that this is something that's worked.
Same. I think you're right. They've really needed a win. They need something to build upon. And Xbox, we've said it how many years now? Like all the pieces are in play, the dominoes, all those comparisons. And this genuinely,
this could be the first domino that falls that knocks everything else down. Like, I think what we've actually seen at the Game Awards already has really excited me.
Unbelievable. I mean, I can't believe
they spoke about Redacted, and also this Redacted title. But
that bit when Redacted happened and then Bloodborne 3 got announced.
Not Redacted 3. No, it's we're recording this pre-Game Awards, so good luck to you.
I'll be live on the morning of it, but we've taken a stance. We're not doing a reacts because we enjoy sleep.
Yeah,
we'll be watching it, and we'll need to go to bed and go to work right after it.
I make a promise that if something absolutely mental happens here, then we'll probably do a react. Like if it's like industry changing, we'd probably have to react to something. So watch this space. Once you're finished with what you're playing with, I made a promise on Blue Sky tonight that I have to talk about.
Right, okay.
So continue on with your.
Right, I'll round it up. So Indiana Jones, it's got me, it's whipped me in, and I'm going to continue that because I'm a big fan of the movies. So I think where it's telling a really authentic story as well, I should add, and it's pulling me along. It's just giving me that kind of childhood charm that I'm wanting. That's effectively what I'm wanting. I'm wanting an Indiana Jones experience, so I'm getting that. Whether or not I run out of gas as time goes on, we'll see, but I will report back. But I have also very pleased to say I've finished Alan Wake 2.
Yes.
I just played it, finished it. 10 out of 10. Incredible achievement. Just everything I said last week, the multimedia experience, premiere multimedia experience, a masterpiece from Remedy. All the weird shit they've been doing in the lead up to this, culminating in this absolutely incredible piece of work. And totally echo what you had said months ago. Move aside, Kojima. Sam Lake is here for your lunch.
It's true.
DLC will be my treat over the coming weeks, probably over the Christmas period. Take a wee break because I'm kind of like, I just want to save that. It's just for me. I've just
you'll fuck it.
Poured over this game now, man.
So
poured over it.
You played? Did you play all three of the Night Springs DLC?
Just the first one,
right? If I could recommend anything, play the one. Is it the break? The break?
Them all.
No, but sooner rather than later. The Breaker one, the Sheriff Breaker one.
Yep.
Play that before you play anything else.
Is that the second episode?
I can't remember. I think it might be because it's Jesse is in one of them.
Right, okay.
And then the third one, boot it up before I leave and I'll show you which one it is.
Right, okay.
But
I think it might be the second one. I think Jesse's the last one.
Because honestly, it is life-changing.
Got those two and I've got the Lake House. So how many hours was that? 6 hours I've got in there?
Aye. But the Sheriff one is maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
Really?
But it's everything that it's doing in it. Like there's points in that where I'm like, oh my God. Like it is incredible.
I look forward to it. I was actually, as soon as I finished it, and you know me, I'm the guy that likes to pull apart these things, picking for meaning. The only time I've seen you do that is when Metal Gear Solid trailers come into being. But if there's one game, I'm saying this to you, and I actually text him about it, that I think he should be playing at some point in his life, it's the Music Man Sean Murray.
Yes.
The producer of this show. This is just a Sean Murray joint. It's just absolutely up his alley. Yeah, like I see the light. No pun intended.
So good.
But it's and do you know the thing? On a personal note, I didn't initially play this because I am not the survival horror guy, and that's just because I find it difficult to play them. I get frozen when I'm playing them. I find it quite an anxious experience because I'm a shite bag, and quite proudly. But it's not the game. I'm not the guy that's going to horror games because they're too intense for me.
Yeah.
It's always been the case. Pushing myself through this, and it's a game which uses atmosphere instead of enemies to create the suspense in such a way that I could go on all day, but it was still like, right, just go through it because the story was that thing that was put. It was like,
yes,
come on,
that's
just come to the other side. The mystery unraveling before your eyes. This Saga Anderson, the supporting cast of characters between Saga and Alan as well, also memorable. And the heartbreaking thing is, you just know we're not going to get a third one. You just know it. But I live in hope. But I think it's just about broke even. It's just got its cost back this year. But the physical edition there, it was half price Black Friday. It will go half price again, I imagine, in January. If you see it, pick it up. Do as I did. Take Scott's recommendation. Play this game. You will not be disappointed.
Go along for the ride. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
If you're a shite bag, just go through it.
Aye, it's class.
I'm glad. best thing you said to me before I started it, I said, is it like Resident Evil scary, like Resident Evil 2, or is it Last of Us scary? And you're like, it's probably closer to Last of Us.
It is.
And you were right.
Yeah.
You were right. And yeah, it was just no notes. No notes, man. And on top of that, I should add, we did play a little tiny bit of Marvel Rivals this week.
Oh, yeah.
We dabbled. Didn't quite feel the same, but I blame Call of Duty Black Ops 6 for that because I just want to scratch that itch. And we both looked at our total playtime in that this year, and it's disgusting.
That is horrible.
But that's the social treat at the end of a hard day.
A hard day.
So yeah, but all that the road, Scott. What is your promise?
My promise to the world, and I mentioned this to you a few nights ago, and I stewed on it. And I was like, do you know what? I think it is now the time that in 2025, Red Dead Redemption 2 will be getting demolished. Like, I am going to try and get the platinum trophy on Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, good God.
If you look at the figures on that, it's a 200-hour platinum, if that. So
that's about 2 weeks for you.
Yeah. So I'll finish it by February.
Okay.
But I watched a video game donkey video on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like he's talking about the slickness of it. And if you watch any donkey videos, he's off his tits.
Yeah.
But he's talking about all the different wee bits and pieces to the story and all the wee different things you can do. And I'm like, oh man, I'm ready to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready to go and live in that world again. So after Grand Theft Auto 5, if I'm not completely burnt out on Rockstar, then Red Dead Redemption 2 will be getting feasted upon.
I mean, obviously, we're all hyped up after seeing GTA 6 this morning. But I think after you at least 100% GTA 5, I don't know how difficult the platinum is. I don't know if there's online stuff tagged to that, but even if you're 100% it, it's actually really enjoyable because you get to see lots of shit that you probably wouldn't see beforehand.
That's what I'm finding with all the other Grand Theft Auto games is that it's got loads of stuff in there that I've never seen. 4 is going to be the outlier because
4's outstanding.
I have not played 4 in forever, so it's going to be great to go back to that. But I'm ready to go and live in cowboy America, live in Arthur Morgan's shoes for even longer.
Mm-hmm. It's it. Do you know what? We're both in the camp where we Red Dead Redemption 2 truthers. I wish you all the best in your platinum journey. I'm going to be absolutely fascinated to see if you can make this, but I believe in you. You can do it.
I'll do it.
If anyone can do it, it could be you.
Me. I might have to do the multiplayer trophies earlier if you can.
If you need help, like if you need like a posse or something,
this is how you get them into it.
That's it.
It's like come back.
I'll be game for that. Just if you need me to do stupid stuff to cheese some trophies.
Maybe we'll buy the remaster of Red Dead Redemption as well, and we'll do that.
Yes. They announced that after NAC 3, didn't they? So
it's already been remastered.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I'm just trying to get in all these Game Awards announcements.
Oh yeah,
Half-Life 4,
PlayStation 6.
Yeah, of course. Switch 2 announcement. I can't wait. Can't wait for Super Mario Odyssey.
I'll think of something else in the meantime.
But yeah, I think you're mad, but
I'm excited though. I'm on up your Rockstar binge, so
do you know what? See when it hits though, like do you know one Rockstar game I've been dying to go back to in ages is Max Payne 3.
Oh mate,
you know I
did it recently. I did the Max Payne series. Was it last year? Fuck me, man. I hadn't played Max Payne 1 and 2 in forever, but
now
you've got Max Payne 3 hits like cracks. So
you've got the remakes to look forward to.
And I will. I
100%
will be back on them as well.
Do you know, I really hope they just redo them in a way that almost nobody's taking the approach like with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mm-hmm.
It's like take the source material, take a risk, and rip it up. If there's purists out there that you'll upset,
maybe that's what they'll do though.
I can see them doing it
with Max Payne 1. It's pure weird.
No, they've built the Remedyverse now, and how do they?
Mm-hmm.
How do they put that in there?
Oh man, I'm excited.
You know
I'm excited for it all.
Should also add, by the way, I think I might mention this last week, but I do have Control on the docket. I'm going back to Control.
Yes, so good.
So I will do, because I've never played like the Alan Wake DLC with that. So the AWE, I think it was.
Played it. I've never played it either. So it's a chance to go back. But I'm going to start from the start again. Just remember that. That's a good platinum. That's actually a very fun platinum as well.
Yeah, I might actually think about it. I mean, Alan Wake 2 as well.
I think I've just got collectibles on that one, so I'll probably do that next year.
Just a wee mop up. It's the same with like The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
I've had that hanging over me for years.
I know.
to just do the collectibles, but I can't.
We need to do.
bothered.
Do you know what? Put it in the docket. A platinum episode where we
Platinum.
talk about platinum trophies and doing all that shit.
Platinum plans and madness.
Platinum plans and madness and grabness. Grabbing this.
Spoilers. Come on.
What'd you call it? But no, it's a very exciting time. Like we're recording this on redacted, but the Game Awards will have happened, and we'll either be trying to not die until 2026 or 2027.
Yeah. Do you know, see if this is anything than a 10 out of 10 show? All these insiders that are hyping this up for nothing, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate to be so uncouth on this time on a Friday, but it's yeah. We spoke about it a few weeks ago in our episode about how to fix the Game Awards, and I stand by that. And I think after seeing what they did last night, there we go. I think it's worth. I'm going to go back and listen to that, and invite our listeners to do it as well, because I think it still stands.
So you think it will still stand the test of time?
Yeah,
following Friday.
I do.
Can I just say before we move on to the main topic, and that I was going to say not naming names, but I'm going to name names. But Andy Robinson of VGC,
He's named a name,
right?
Oh, God, man.
Now he is the catalyst for all this. Everyone's absolutely shitting their breeks because he came out and said, like, this is going to be one of the biggest, or whatever it is he said, right?
Man has contacts with him.
Right. But Andy Robinson is also guilty. And eventually, I mean, a broken clock strikes right twice a day or something like that. But he had been reporting this Snake Eater remake for honestly about 10 years. And every single year he'd be like, yeah, it's coming out, yeah, it's coming out, yeah, it's coming out. And then eventually it comes out and he's, oh, look, I did right, it's right, didn't it? Like, it's like me saying, oh, Grand Theft Auto 7 is going to come out at some point. Like,
Yeah. I suppose you do get YouTubers doing that, like with the thumbnails, like, I have a copy of it.
it's true, no, it's true, but it's just like, take it with a pinch of salt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Some people are better than
a whole tub of salt.
Some people are better in the art of making specific leaks than others, I would say. I mean, I think the thing that was the real thing that sent it in overdrive, because you're right, that really got people's attentions up, was Jason Schreier. So
Yes.
like one or two. Now, we all know he rarely does that.
Yeah.
So there must, well, obviously it was right, because this is after it.
I'm excited to see it. Like, it's the 1 year, because I think I've been so involved in this industry now, like in such a minor wee way, like having to keep an eye on things and talk about them, that it's interesting to come at it from the point of view where I actually have to watch it with a keen eye and not just be like,
I think you went to bed last year.
I did.
Halfway through.
Fucking Infinity Nicky.
Don't blame you.
Sorry, Infinity Nicky fan.
I've actually downloaded that. We've got to play it. Anyway, I digress. I think it's time we should move on to the main topic of the show, which, of course, we are titling Handhelds and Hybrids, the future trend. You know, you could sing that title to the theme tune of Handbags and Glad Drives if you want. I won't judge you. But of course.
What was that? Handhelds and Hybrids.
Of course, right. I've been dying to talk about this one for weeks now,
Yeah.
because handhelds are like Hansel. They're so hot right now. Right, okay.
You'd be dying to say that as
I've been
well.
dying to say it as well. But, you know, we're in a world now. We've got the Steam Deck
Yes.
flying high. We've got the PlayStation Portal, absolutely surprising and busting sales. It's the highest selling accessory in PlayStation this year. Always out of stock. Still in the US particularly.
Is that right? Aye.
Yeah, and Sony and Xbox rumours in the recent weeks and months flying about their own handhelds. Now, I want to start just by kind of looking at this in terms of the state of play. So those rumours have really been thundering over the past few weeks, I should say. Then, of course, the Switch 2 on the horizon. The future, it seems to be, is in our hands. It really does. I think whatever the way the wind is blowing now, it does seem to be that it's going to be handheld or hybrid in some sort. Would you agree?
I think it's looking that way. I think the biggest surprise in here is that you haven't bought a Steam Deck yet. But
I'm not buying another library, man.
It's true. But I think it's inevitable. You know, it's Thanos standing fucking. Like,
Yes.
that is it. Like, I said this a few weeks ago, and you told me to shut up because I'm thinking, like, I don't think you can push these consoles any further. So the way that you do it is just and tap into this market of handhelds. Like,
Yeah.
if I could cut about, well, I say cut about, I don't leave the house that often. So if I could go to my toilet and play my PlayStation 5 without having to remote play and or cloud, whatever it is, then let me do that. But it's just an exciting time. Like, we grew up as children who played handhelds, whereas as adults, we now want handhelds. It's like,
well, let's stay on that for a minute. So I want to talk about like the market and what's driving this. Of course, like older gamers like us are driving the change. So, like you said, handhelds, they used to be viewed pretty much as a kid's item. The bright colours in the Game Boy, very Nintendo focused. Obviously they were king. Plus, like failures like the Vita and all that still ring true. That's right, it was a failure. Come at me.
what was it, a failure?
The Vita.
The Vita.
And it's put off the likes of Sony for the longest.
Yeah.
But now, the current generation of gamers that are about our age, right? So you're talking about 25 plus. It's steady, right? They've all grown up in this kind of more maturing game space. But now we all have responsibilities, families, busier lives, partners, work, you name it, where a handheld can slot perfectly into their lives, whether that is at home, on the kludgy, or even like if you're away.
Kludgy means toilet for you non-Scots.
And, you know, the shared screen household element of the market is huge.
That's the part of it that is really, you know, that's really telling of why they're doing it. And that, you know, it's just like sitting with your partner who's watching the telly and you don't want to watch it, like just fire on.
I mean, my wife has recently started watching Yellowstone. So I'm not getting near that telly for ages. But I'm actually really happy. I'm almost insisting. I'm like, no, on you go. And I get the headset out, get the Portal in my hand, Alamate 2. And it's just like, I've probably played the majority of Alamate 2 on the Portal now I think about it. But I've really been enjoying it. Like the Portal, I must admit, it took me a few months to kind of get in a rhythm with it. Because my experience with the Switch, and if we go to a handheld, hasn't been great. Like, I'm cussed with spade hands, so I'm like trying to hold this thing and it's just pure like the joystick part is like the base of my thumb knuckle and just I can't really work this, and it's not great. The Portal is much better, but they're thinking there must be so many people like that sitting next with their partner, or even if not, they could be playing the console on the screen.
100%.
There's like, you know, 2 gamer partnerships out there. The lucky ducks out there, not for ourselves, but it's like, but then there's been mornings where the kids are just playing with their stuff and it's all chaos and hell breaks loose, but it's like a quiet chill where my son could be sitting there drawing, my daughter could be sitting playing with something, and there's been times I'm like, I'm pulling out the Portal and I'm playing Balatro for 20 minutes. And it's like cool, because I'm like, I could just play Marvel Snap on my phone, which I've done. But it's like, I'm very much an advocate in my house for having shared family time, but also individual shared family time, which is like you're still around each other, maybe not participating in the same activity. Not for long. It's not like I'm sitting there for 6 hours, but it could just be like 20 minutes, half an hour, gives you a chance to recharge, and it's like, right, let's go do something.
100%.
But I mean, every family is different. I know there'll be families out there that have no screen time and all that. We spoke about that months ago. But in terms of coming to this market, I feel like it's ripe, and it's shocked.
It's taken this long for both. Like, I know the Portal is obviously, it almost feels like an addition to the PlayStation 5 more than anything else. It's not, it doesn't feel like its own handheld, but it's like a toe in the water. It's like, oh, it's warm in here. I'm going to fucking jump in. A
very, very clever market research.
It really is, and it's paying off. Like, it seems so. It's a really exciting time. It's how, because obviously we're going to have PlayStation handhelds, Xbox handhelds. It's how the Switch not competes, but like compares with the rest of them, because from what we're seeing of the Switch 2, it's a more powerful Switch, which is fine, but these are, and the only thing the Switch has got going for it at that point is that you can play Nintendo games on it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the big selling point for it, and that's the only reason why I think Nintendo does quite as well as it does, is that it uses its catalogue to its own benefit. Like, I bet I seldom turn my Switch on. I play Stardew Valley on the Switch with my daughter, and that's it.
Yeah, like the Switch is effectively my son's now. I hardly touch it now.
I don't particularly enjoy playing games on my Switch. I can count on maybe one hand how many games I've completed in its entirety, like in their entirety on my Switch.
I mean, your phone's more powerful than it now.
Exactly. So I think that there has to be a conversation about when do we say to Nintendo, up your fucking game, mate. Like, switch it up, brother. But I do just think that, if we're going to have handhelds, like the Steam Deck I've never even looked at one, right? I've never seen one in the flesh because I think that I would recoil in fear from the Cheeto-based fingertips on them. But it's almost like, but we're going to live in a world now where handhelds exist for all of our consoles. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you look at it. I mean, we had a little known game called Elden Ring, right? Mm-hmm. And I look at the Steam Deck owners able to play a game of that magnitude on the go, and the amount of games that have come out, like Dragon Age Veilguard and stuff. It's like Steam Deck enabled, and it's like, yes, that sounds great, and obviously it's a bona fide handheld. But the thing there'll be lots of people out there, and don't forget, the vast majority of gamers will be in the casual side.
Yeah,
they won't be in the hardcore sweaty side like us, and they're embedded in an ecosystem. And if they're not within the PC ecosystem, it'd be the same as the way I'm thinking, which is, I'm not buying it all against Steam.
It's true.
I'm not double dipping and paying the £400, £500 outlay just for the cool handheld, which is why there's such an open door. And we've not even talked about the big, I think the biggest opportunity here is for the Xbox, because Game Pass and what's on Game Pass, Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. And I think put those two together in a very, not just a serviceable handheld, but one that does have power that can go toe to toe with a Steam Deck, maybe even more, because we know Microsoft do like the power, and they have got deep pockets to develop something there and sell it at a loss to become a little bit of a market leader in the space. That's where you see the disruption coming, I think. Mm-hmm. Whereas Sony, if you look at, so the portal I mentioned there is like a market research experiment, jokingly, but the same way the original PlayStation VR was that.
Yeah.
It was them like, look, we're wanting to try a new way to play. Come with us. Let's test it out together. And if you want to invest, cool. If not, we're happy to take a loss in this one. And then it came to the PSVR 2, which on hardware-wise, I've had Alex testify to this on the show, I've had the expert himself mention it. Hardware-wise, absolutely like banging. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, I feel there's momentum behind it now, but it didn't get off to the best of starts.
Oh, yeah.
In the handheld market, I don't think you'd be excused the same way, because it's not that niche. You're targeting everyone. And you think about it, like a couple of weeks ago, we talked about what did the kids want for Christmas. We went out and spoke to people in the family. My nephew talked about a PlayStation 5 Pro. And it's like, if a handheld comes out, forget about it, man.
Yeah.
Like, and especially if they get that price point right.
I think that's it. I think that I've got absolutely no evidence for this, but
who needs evidence?
I know. I mean, fucking opinion, facts and opinion. You know what I mean, fake news and all that fish. But I do think that an Xbox handheld would be more powerful than a PlayStation handheld.
I think so, yeah.
But I don't think that matters quite as much. Like, I think that with the Xbox, Game Pass is that's the selling point of it. Having a portable Game Pass is going to be, everything that it needs to be. But with PlayStation, I think it's just the library. Like, if you had, say, you have this PlayStation portable, but you can play, if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you can play every single PlayStation 2 game on this portable. Like,
imagine though.
Fucking shove it.
Gamers.
Right. Take that portable, spin it sideways, and shove that straight up my ass. Because I would chew it. But I was going to say something really stupid there, and I can't remember what it was.
More stupid than that?
Yeah, more stupid than that. I do think that, with the Xbox, my only thing with it is that with the marketing campaign for Xbox being what it is,
Well, you're speaking into one just now, I suppose.
Exactly. Well, I am. I'm actually speaking out of one too. But is it necessary for them to? I know Phil Spencer has come out and said, "Look, we're looking at it. We're going to do it." But is it necessary for them to have a handheld when everything that we touch is now an Xbox?
Yeah.
Like, for them to have that outlay, is it really necessary? Like, is my phone an Xbox? It could be. I mean,
you're right. You're absolutely right. I think what they like to do, though, is the bean counters like to chase trends. And I think the big thing for me that's changed the space has been the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And also, let's not forget the Switch.
Yes.
The Switch has been an absolutely roaring success as a hybrid console. Now, don't get me wrong, but consoles are becoming more expensive. We've seen that with the PlayStation 5 Pro. They're kind of starting to carve out a bit of a monopoly. But Xbox, of course, they'll get close to that when it comes to the Series Y.
They have. We saw it last night.
We saw it last night, of course, yeah. And the PlayStation 6 will be about £700. You know, there's no way. You don't just go back the way. Things only go up. Look at the price of petrol.
I mean, Yaz said it best. The only way is up.
That's true. But I think it makes sense to drive into this portable space. I'm shocked, and I think it'd be such a win if they could. I would love to see a new PlayStation or Xbox that was hybrid. And really just, it's like, yep, do you know what? It works for Switch. We're doing the same thing, because I think the Switch has changed the expectation. It used to be that handheld games was always like, you're going to get a diet version of an IP that you like. You know, we've all remembered like the Batman Arkham spin-off of the Vita or Golden Abyss, even like the Nintendo ones as well. It's like, remember back in the day we'd have all the multi-platform releases in the same day, and there always have to be the bespoke, diluted down version of the handheld, one that was on like Game Boy Advance or something like that. Whereas now it's like, no, I want to play what's on my console here in my hands. And that's where I think if they can't release a hybrid console where it's like you've got like this big hoofter of a controller with a screen on it, then they're wanting to release something that delivers that hybrid experience, which is what the Portal effectively does.
Yeah.
But that's native, that it doesn't rely on, it doesn't have latency. Something you could pick up in your hands and play Street Fighter.
It's just, you know. That's the problem. I do like this hybrid theory.
There we go. Hey.
But that's the key point of it. It's just performance. It's
huge.
I'm not paying this amount of money for something that runs games worse than what I can play them at now on my PlayStation. Like buying Mortal Kombat 1 on the Nintendo Switch, you might as well play fucking Deception on it. Do you know what I mean? Like it looks like a PS2 game. It runs like shit. So like that's the key point for me, in that I would love to have a handheld PlayStation, handheld Xbox, but it needs to just work well. And I think it would. I think it would, but I also think it wouldn't.
There's a huge gap there for it to fall flat on its arse. There is. I mean, because it's hard to get the power we're talking about of what these consoles can now do.
At the price that you want to pay for it.
And in the palm of your hands.
The power of the sun.
That's it. That's what we want.
That's it.
But I do think that, you know, see when the Switch came out in 2017, and there was part of it, it's like a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, did they chase that? And it kind of entered the conversation for a bit, then went away. It was just not, we're going to get the same again. And then Switch have just been quietly dominating this space. And the thing is, as soon as I think these companies are coming for Nintendo, and they've always dominated the handheld space. They've always done it. I think for me, when I look at it, I can see Xbox making, like it says, that more powerful one. That could be at least as powerful as a Series S in the palm of your hand. Sony, I still think they're going to find a way to fudge it and not make it mainline. Yeah. I think they're going to make a bespoke handheld platform.
Yeah.
And Christ, hopefully learn their lessons from proprietary
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say that.
UMDs, like, it's hopefully to God they don't do that. You don't know with Sony now, because they're mad. 1 minute it's like we've done something right, and then here's 5 things wrong. They're in a weird space, as much as they're a market leader.
But what you're saying is right though, and it kind of touches on a point that I wanted to make in terms of Nintendo they've been the monopoly on the handheld for as long as we've known. Now I'm not including the Steam Deck and whatever other handhelds are out there, because I can't speak for them, because I've not got a clue what they do or how they work, right? But this is like, and I'm bringing it back to what I've always said before. Nintendo are the WWF of handhelds at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They've been coasting along for as long as they need to be. It's getting to that period where all the old superstars are aging out. Hulk Hogan has left Nintendo and jumped over to WCW where the big boys play.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's where we get the best out of like a Nintendo, for example, is that when they start to feel that pressure from Xbox's WCW at this point, right? They're pushing on, and they're making Nintendo push on. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just sometimes there needs to be that competition because Nintendo have been coasting by the fucking seats of their ass for forever now. So,
yep.
And at the end of the day, Switch 2, like I'll buy it because I'm stupid and like expendable income is great, but it's one of those things where I'm like, am I really going to do this though? Because if it's going to perform a wee bit better, then
now cards on the table. We could be talking before the Switch 2 gets teased or revealed at the Game Awards, right? We don't know because it's just beforehand, and I don't have a time machine. I'm sorry, but you're right. Like I feel that my hype levels on the Switch 2 are actually getting lower and lower as time gets on. It should be going the other way because I'm like, I don't really feel that there's anything different, and that's totally hypocritical as a man that has just bought a PlayStation 5 Pro. But there's something about it where I'm like, am I just at the point where I'm falling away? And I think it is now that my son has this Nintendo Switch and that backwards compatibility things come up. And you're right, I'm going to make sure that I'm there to buy one day one because the plan is to give him this one wholesale.
Yeah.
I think for this podcast, we need to have a stake in whatever Nintendo's doing, of course, with it being most family friendly. But I do think, like, what is it going to do different? Is it going to be something that is, a bit less powerful than a Series S and doesn't have an OLED screen, even though for some strange reason we're still in this space where manufacturers think they can charge you an extra £100 when the OLED panel themselves are cheaper than they've ever been. And outside of that, I'm like, right, okay, the Joy-Cons are a wee bit different, bigger screen. It's just like a quality of life iteration upgrade, and that's kind of disappointing from the Nintendo standpoint because I rely on them to bring the toyetic magic to the gaming space, which is it's a lot less powerful. But when you buy this, you're buying into a slice of nostalgia. Now, I could very well be wrong. They could have announced this by now when you're listening to this, and it's like, wow, you check me in Blue Sky, and I'm like, I can't believe it, they've done it. And I hope that that's the case. That's my reaction.
I do. I'm the same as you. My excitement levels for it are waning, but I don't know. I don't see it. Like all the rumblings coming out about it are not exciting me. But it's a Switch U. Do you know what I mean? Like,
a Switch U, exactly. I mean, if we look at the Steam Decks just now, I'm looking at it just now, right? In terms of pricing, you can get like an LCD Steam Deck with like 256 gig on it, which ain't a lot given the size of games that they're pushing, but that's an SSD, LCD display, 7-inch, £349. Now that's the other thing, price point. Switch 2, they need, I think anything over that, it's not going to be successful for them. But you look at an OLED Switch at $479, they could very well, with the power, they could justify selling a Switch 2 for that price. But I'm like, maybe they're going to target maybe a $399 or something is what I'm expecting.
Middle ground.
But on this note that we're talking about, so we're talking about like the handhelds and hybrids. We're established, we think this is where the future trend is going because that's what the market's telling us. But what do you want to see in like a Sony or an Xbox handheld? Or a Switch 2?
A Switch 2? I don't know. To be truthfully honest with you, I want to see a PlayStation handheld that actually, it doesn't have gimmicks. It's not a gimmick, like it doesn't have a back paddle where you can rub your fingers on it and, I just want to see something that just works, like, and it does exactly what it needs to do. I want to be able to play games on the go. Like, I want to have more storage than I need on anything. With the Xbox, I don't think Xbox have to do anything, world ending. I think they do just have to complement Game Pass and really just make that, you you can play all your Game Pass games on the go. With a Nintendo Switch, for me, the Switch it's more about the library of games that I'm getting on it. I think if they said, here's the Switch 2, but here's every single Nintendo GameCube game ever made on the GameCube app thing, I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, I'll pay every single penny in my bank to get that. I fucking love the GameCube. But I don't think they all have to do anything, outstanding. I think they just have to be competent consoles that there has to be reason and need for. Like, I don't think you make this. I don't think you make them without the audience for them.
Yeah, which is clearly there. I mean, I made a list.
Oh God, right, okay.
And I've also came up with an interesting pitch for how I would do Xbox's one in particular. But what I'd like to see across them, right, same as you, I want little compromise. So I want to make them able to play the games we want to play, not a diluted version, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I want a tilted and adjustable screen.
Okay.
Right? Handhelds shouldn't be flush like a tile. Right? See, when sometimes you're holding the Portal or the Switch and it's just perfectly flat, when you look at your wrists and your thumbs are pointing towards you, that's quite an unnatural position. They need to either be slightly further back or forward, just for comfort. See, if you had one that you could take the side bits of the handles and just press a wee button and just adjust where the screen, also reduces screen glare.
Yeah.
We've all been sitting under the big light, and you're just kind of, even with the backlight on it, it's like, pish, they turn the light off. Something like that, particularly for old ass gamers like ourselves, the old arthritis kicking in. Been drumming for years, Scott, but it's like something like that could go a long way. Anyhow, digress. I want a solid battery life.
Yes.
I think the Portal's demonstrated that too, a battery life. I mean, we said this other week, you play it plugged in most of the time. OLED screen, I think, should be the standard. You're seeing it standard in phones now. The technology's cheaper and more obtainable. Let's go for that. Decent storage.
Yep.
Ease of access to the ecosystem is a must. Either you link in via Wi-Fi or remotely, either or. And I don't want any physical bespoke media, no UMDs, that type of stuff. I would actually be quite happy if it was just digital only.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Xbox, you're right, I can see it in my mind's eye, like what that looks like. It's a very basic matte black brick with an Xbox logo stamped on it. And they call it something stupid like a Series Go or something like that. I would honestly package that up because they've got Game Pass. And I know you can get Game Pass PC on Steam Deck some way, shape or form, but if you've got the full bona fide Game Pass experience, take the handheld and tap into the market in a different way and call it something like Game Pass Go and give people the handheld like they did with the Xbox Series X at the start with that 24-month offer.
Yeah.
With their Game Pass subscription and your handheld include. And if they refresh that in a cycle of every year or 2 years, and it's like get a new contract, get the new handheld, trade it in, same way you look at phones. We keep talking about consoles going towards the phone system. And I actually think that we're halfway there, but I think the handheld system, something like that, if you take that Xbox All Access model, put a handheld on it and have just refresh it. The same as Steam Deck are doing, like, oh, we've added, something else, some gigaflop thing. Do that, and you've got people hooked, man. Like you've created a totally new market for portable gaming, and I think there's something there that's telling me that we're gearing up for that almost, and that's getting built in. When I look at things like EE Game Store, mobile phone providers selling you, hucking all these game consoles at you on effectively finance deals, which is what we do with phone contracts, finance deal. And I think that buyer expectation and habit's already there. And particularly if you're looking at gamers like ourselves, we have disposable income in different ways, shapes and forms, but they've also maybe have other responsibilities, paying mortgages, they've got partners, what do stuff with them, with the kids, whatnot, cars, you name it. A 24-month option sounds quite feasible. Almost sounds as good as the noises your
stomach just made there. I'm obviously hungry.
Yeah, we need to get this man fed. But yeah, I don't think I'm far off it in that prediction. I would not be surprised to see that, to be honest. I think
you saw it with the Xbox All Access stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like this, it makes sense. No, I just want it to be a big X.
It's just a massive
X. Just a massive X that you walk around with.
It's the most awkward controller of the whole time. Playing my Game Pass, man.
I'm just playing Senua's Sacrifice on my Xbox handheld.
The dream.
I do see it. It's there's a future where this all exists and we all live in our Xboxes. But
It's there.
It is there. It's within touching distance. It's just so stupid that it's not been now.
I know. And there'll be people, on much higher salaries and smarter than us, maybe not that much, but much higher salaries than us that's paid to figure this out. But I tell you what, this is free market research. You'll be listening to this damn show.
It's free
We'll
real
tell
estate.
We'll tell you if we're true.
It's true. No, it definitely. There's a need. Not a personal need, because I think that as you were talking to Scott pre-COVID, who getting the train to work every single day, who stoating back and forth to work every single day, there potentially could have been a place where a handheld PlayStation or a handheld Xbox would have saved me a whole lot of gripe. But I spend 90% of my time at home, but I am not every single person in the world. So there's going to be people out there that will kind of need that. The kind of key thing, one of the things I would say is that if it is all digital, there's obviously going to have to be this online component, and there's going to be an online component everywhere. I don't want there to be a penalty if you have to go offline. So if you want to download, let's just say you want to play the campaign for COD on the plane to Egypt, then you should be able to do that.
Absolutely.
You can't get penalised for not being online.
It has to be a bona fide.
It has to be offline if possible. There can't be an expectation that you'll always be online with it, because that just then there's no need for this to exist.
It's dead. It's
an engage at that point. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
For every Nintendo Switch, there's an engage.
I think what we're seeing, to finish on this, I think what we're seeing is we can't treat this, and I think there was hesitancy, particularly after the advent of the iPhone, when it was apps. It's like mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is a totally different niche. You've got to look at that the same way as you look at VR. It's a totally different niche, albeit with a much wider install audience of casual players. What we're talking about handhelds here is probably someone for the semi-hardcore to hardcore gamer.
Yeah.
There will be casuals in terms of kids who will want it.
I think kids is a good market for it, though.
It's a great market for it.
I think it would be stupid that the Switch is the only place they can play games.
Same.
I think it would be a great thing to give a child a PlayStation Portable. You know what I mean? Give them a portable handheld PlayStation 5. I'm not going to buy the main console, but here's something else you can use it. It's I think that's fair enough.
PlayStation have stumbled into that right now with the Portal update, where you could be sitting there playing the streaming from PlayStation Plus, and the kid could be playing Fortnite on the main thing.
But that's to complement the PlayStation 5. I think that as its own,
own system,
just to be like, here,
do what you want.
I think that'd be class. I'd fucking love that.
That's what we want. I think if they make that mistake and treating it like it is, we can't do this, it needs to be something more akin to mobile games.
Yeah.
It will be dead in the water. It needs to be quite a hardcore piece of gaming kit that has broad market appeal. And the way you do that is what Nintendo did, which is just slap Fortnite on it. Make sure you've got Fortnite.
Put Fortnite on everything, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Lego GTA thing that they've brought out?
Yes.
Man.
But see, if you come back to mobile gaming, they're trying to make this work. So every time a new iPhone comes out, it's like you can play Death Stranding, you can play Assassin's Creed Mirage. I think Assassin's Creed Mirage sold, you're lucky if it sold 2,000 copies. And Death Stranding performed really poorly as well. But you've got development teams working their arse off for that and porting it over. And it's impressive that the phone can run it.
Yeah.
But we're never, ever going to be using it for that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there will be people out there that do use that, and they can use things like
Call of Duty and stuff like that, isn't it?
What's the thing?
A backbone.
You can use things like that for remote play. And it's great that's an option. But again, this is why I'm talking about mobile gaming as a niche.
Yes.
If you look at, I think VR is starting to make strides into taking that niche into a wider audience. Oculus have actually been terrific at it this winter in terms of how they're marketing it. Even like my mum's talking about it, you could use it as a movie theatre. I says, you could, that'd be hilarious, because I'm totally going to hack into that and put on scary films. She's even talking about getting an Oculus in the new year for Beat Saber or something like that, and it's they've broken through.
Yeah,
they've broken through.
It's the Wii then. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So if VR headsets can do it, I think a dedicated handheld can do it.
I can do it. I'll make my own handheld.
Let's do it.
One that you fart into the microphone in it.
It's like
does stuff.
two toilet roll tubes.
I bop it.
With an old phone in the middle.
I bop it with some sellotape around it.
Well, I'd be keen to hear what our listeners are thinking themselves. Like, is there
an
the trend's
interest?
going?
Yeah. Is there an interest in these handhelds in the future?
Would you buy one?
Would you buy one?
That's the big question. Right, doesn't let us know. But of course, on that note, I think it's time to move on, which means it's time for the Pixel Picks Showdown.
The shortest Pixel Picks Showdown on earth.
Well, of course, what's a handheld version? So each week we decide to pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on in the Halo Pixel Picks list, which is our definitive list of the best games we recommend to pass on to the next generation of gamers. Now, last week's theme was a PS3 game, with Uncharted 2 becoming the latest addition to the list. And this week's showdown, we're going to be debating what best Nintendo DS game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. And I should also add the caveat, DS, not 3DS.
Yep.
Now, as always, last week's winner goes last. So, Scott, I believe that's myself on this occasion. My Naughty Dog streak continues. So, let's get to it. Now, I should add the caveat here that Scott has no notes. So, I don't know if he's going to conjure an honourable mention first, but I'm going to hope that he does.
Oh, God. Right. So, I had a Nintendo DS many moons ago, but it was bought for one purpose and one purpose only. And it was to play Professor Layton on it.
Yep.
Now, I remember having Pokemon Black and White around that time.
Excellent games.
Didn't enjoy it though. But it would have to be the honourable mention because it is the only other option in my head. Now, I know that you've got games like Chrono Trigger, you've got the kind of Dragon Quest series, Final Fantasy had loads of things on it. I couldn't speak for them because have not played them on the DS. I think people do speak about the Nintendo DS version of Chrono Trigger quite favourably. But again, not a clue. Not one fucking Scooby. If it's a 3DS, I could talk to you for years on that thing. But with the 2DS, you know, I know you've got new Super Mario Brothers and stuff like that as well. I mean, how many more Super Mario Brothers games can you make?
That was a good game.
It was a good game. No, it was. It was good, and it did something different. But I think the only one I could really pick it's Professor Layton, which then leads me on to which Professor Layton.
That was the next question. Yeah.
No idea. I do know they have one the Unwound Future. 86 on Metacritic. Cool. Released on September 12th, 2010. That I'm reading specifically from a Metacritic thing there. But Professor Layton is Professor Layton. You know what I mean? You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a good story. You're going to get the puzzles. You know what I mean? And I think that this was very early on in the Professor Layton series. I think because I can't tell you for sure. But I just have so many. I bought a DS for this game, and I would do it again. I would do it tomorrow. Like I fucking love Professor. I've professed my love for this game more often than I've professed my love for anything. But I think that I'm going to lose this anyway. So regardless of what I say here.
This is like that bloody Mike Tyson fight.
Yeah.
It's like just ring the bell.
It's like pure Drederick Tatum.
Who's the fan, man?
I'll put my flag on Professor Layton in the Unwound, whatever it was. But
okay, so it's my turn to spit some bars here.
Yeah,
spit some bars.
I think the DS is a tough one because it's obviously got a huge library, but I also feel like it became a 3DS like almost immediately.
Well, this was particularly tough. I mean, I was fortunate to have a DS. Also had a 3DS as well. Now, the DS was a console that I just remember at the time you had that, then quickly followed by the Wii as well. It exploded.
Yeah.
Like, lots of people, friends and family had it. And it was a DS Lite. Now, let's go back to the original DS. I'll not forget when it came out. I went into the game shop on Buchanan Street when it was there at the time, going in to see it the day it came out with my friend. And we were like, what in the name of Christ is this monstrosity? It was ugly AF, as the kids say. The DS Lite, what a refinement. They got it right. It's such a cool looking Wii console. Anyhow, my honourable mention this week, and this was really tough. Now, but for me, the honourable mention is Mario Kart DS. Right? Now,
yeah.
At one point in life, this game was everything to me. You know, I nearly picked brain training for this. I nearly picked Professor Layton. You know, I picked Nintendogs.
Fucking brain training.
The ones that everyone's grand would try out. But of all the ones that I think had the mass appeal and also was a good game, I think Mario Kart DS is a standout. Could have easily been my pick. I think the gameplay on it was sublime. I think it was, tight, slick, addictive, the palm of your hands, power of the sun. Still my favourite Mario Kart game. 32 tracks, 16 new, 16 of the classic ones we all remember. Plus, I remember it for giving us the first proper taste of wireless multiplayer using the DS Lights. I remember just sitting with my friends and playing that. And I even managed to get my wife a DS for Christmas. She wanted it to sit and play Mario Kart together. She's not a gamer, which is incredible. But that was the power of the DS. Everybody would want to try it out. Total triumph. And it was likely the game that everybody had, but also had to play, which was very, very good. Amazing. For me, though, I think the best DS game, one that really surprised, innovated, and flexed everything that platform had to offer, had no right in doing so. And for me, it was GTA Chinatown Wars. Now, this game, it had absolutely no fucking right being as good to come out and being as good as this was, right? When it was announced, I think we were all like me and thinking, right, here we go. We're expecting something like a GB Advanced snidey port of something. A piss poor entry in the GTA series again. But Chinatown Wars came out to such a surprising swell of praise, as you could say.
Oh.
I remember rushing out to buy it at launch day after just seeing some reviews, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, there's some buzz about it. This is actually good. I need to check this out. I was dying to go back to my DS, and I didn't look back. I mentioned before, the drug dealing minigame alone could win it on its back. It became an obsession. But it probably featured the most surprising and cool ways to utilise the DS. Things like you whistled at the mic to hail a taxi. You would do the little screwdriver minigame every time you broke into a car. Of course, we mentioned the drug dealing. You had to create Molotovs, just by pulling stuff in and just actually make Molotovs, all using the stylus. So it was very, very interactive in a way that I just wouldn't have thought. They just went over and above.
Yeah.
And it just made use of the game. And also on top of all that, you put in the distinctive art style, make it GTA. You put in the way that it just took the formula that you had from like GTA 4 with the kind of radius system. So whenever you were in the wanted level in there, if you had 3 stars, you had to destroy like 3 cop cars to get rid of the wanted level in there. It was so GTA, but it did it on its own terms without being a diluted version. You could only get that on the DS. And to this day, the mobile port, the PSP version, got them both, played them both, don't stand next to it. And it was just such an engaging story as well. It was very, very, very... Juan going back to Liberty City, it was amazing. One of the best in the series, I should add as well. And put all that together, it's an unbelievable recipe for success. An astounding achievement. And just such a surprise. But I think it should be the best game because it is. It's one that just utilises everything that the DS has to offer.
And I think that's exactly why it should win, because I don't have an argument against it. I think that if it was just, a Grand Theft Auto game that played like a Grand Theft Auto game, then it would be like, right, okay, but the gimmick is there and it's using it to its, the best of its ability. So right?
You're on your GTA replay just now. I'm sure I have the DS in there in the living room. I'm pretty sure I've got it in there. If I have a copy of Chinatown Wars in there, I need to give you this away to play because you will love it. You'll be totally surprised. It had no right. I think of all the games I remember playing, I remember just sitting one day I'm sitting here obsessed with a GTA game for the DS. And I remember telling people about it. It's like, no, seriously, this game's like a 10 out of 10.
It's got the stuff. It's got the juice.
It has the juice. So yeah,
I think I am not unhappy with it going on the list. I'm unhappy that Professor Layton is not getting his flowers because that man bled for our sins. But nonetheless, anytime Rockstar enter the fray, then we all lose.
That's just
or win, or it depends on how you look at it. But it's a console that when it came out, I don't think my memory's hazy at best most of the time, but I don't remember it coming out. Like I don't remember it existing. My head goes from having a Game Boy Advance to then having a 3DS. Like in my head, that's the jump that it made. But aye, it's obviously come out and done well. So fair dues.
Well done then to Rockstar and GTA Chinatown was the latest addition to the Pixel Picks list.
I can't believe they remastered it for the Switch.
At
the Game Awards, it's unreal, man.
Unbelievable. And of course, Troy Baker playing the lead. I can't believe that.
I can believe that actually.
I need to share
this. Tell
Like,
everyone.
I did see a video with Troy Baker just talking about his process and how he got the part for Indiana Jones and how Todd Howard didn't want him to get the part. And somebody left a comment on it. It's a TikTok video. It's like, this dude is the Jared Leto of the gaming industry. And I just can't. I can't shake that from my mind now because I'm like, yeah.
It's 100% true.
Yeah, and there's just loads of people asking, why does he wear these hats? There was a time when Troy Baker was naive and innocent, and then The Last of Us happened, and then they started shoveling musical aspects down our throat, and it just got a little bit pretentious. But then again, we are creatives. A little bit of pretense doesn't harm anybody. So, to each their own. I still enjoy
Just tell everyone you hate him. Just tell everyone you hate Troy Baker.
No, I actually still love his performances in games, to be honest. Like,
it's I still have a lot to contend with his performance in Metal Gear Solid 5 because he was Ocelot.
I quite liked him as Ocelot.
I didn't like him because it didn't make sense in my head.
I suppose,
like the voice, and I've heard him saying, "Let the legend come back to life." I've heard him saying that a million times because I've played that game a million fucking times, but I always had problems with it. But I mean, the man gets paid a decent wage for.
Man does quality work.
It does quality work, and
unlike Jared Leto. Yeah.
I mean, we do live in a society. So yeah.
Should call it that. So of course. That brings us to the end of this week's podcast. So thank you once again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and enjoyed the podcast, leave a wee 5-star review. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your gran. Tell Jared Leto. I'm sure he'd love to be on this podcast and defend Morbius. It helps us out, of course, and makes a massive difference.
Morbius?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Morbius? I'm thinking Mobius.
It's Morbin time. Scott, it's test time. Where can people engage with you online if they want to?
Please don't.
Hear your yarns.
My yarns, my mental state.
Skeets.
I'm skeeting everywhere. Llamaman.bsky.social.
Lovely.
And remember to send me verbal abuse on Spotify as well.
That's true. Yes, of course. Send them to Scott. And I'm a bystander innocently. Of course, if you want to engage with me online, you can get me on Blue Sky at carmelite.bsky.social. Twitter is dead to me.
Twitter is dead. Long live Twitter.
Yeah, don't miss it at all. And of course, thank you to our producer and music man, the talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray. We actually have a really fun thing to do together, the three of us, this weekend, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
You're going to tell the people?
Let's tell them after it.
Why?
Because I want to give the damage report.
Oh, God. Right, okay. Got broken legs and stuff.
I know, exactly. And of course, you can listen to the next episode on all major podcast platforms and follow us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social. Of course, write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Justice for Jared Leto.